So warm welcome, everybody. Happy to be with you tonight, or different time zones. For some of you, it's in noon or in the afternoon. Welcome to the Color Lights World Project. We are a group of 10 international color light experts between the US, South Africa, Europe, and Tokyo, Japan, spreading color and lights to bring hope, inspiration, trust and healing and beauty into this world in these challenging times. Tonight, it's a great pleasure to introduce Akhail Nishant Matthews. He's an American currently living in the Netherlands. Akhail Nishant is a therapist, a psychotherapist and color light therapist and light researcher for over 30 years. He's the founder of the Samasakti color therapy and author of 2 books. Welcome, Akhail. Very happy to be here with you.
Thank you, Gabriella. It's a joy for me also to be here with you. A couple practical things here. One is, if there's a question or something that you want to comment on or question or reflect into, please feel free to type a little chat message. Yeah? And somewhere along the line, we'll get to the chat messages. So please feel free to do that. And if there's something that's not clear or easy available, you can also just wave at me and I'll repeat or bring it back again. Take a good breath, everybody. My excitement tonight is to be with people who are into color, like you are, and hopefully be a sort of more an inspiration than a teacher, and to kind of pull out the color knowing that's inside you, kind of support and create a space that you can invite the consciousness and the intelligence in yourself to show itself tonight and in the coming days, especially as you work with color. And to me, it feels super important in this time because we're in however you want to say it. You could say a hell of a mess. You could also say we're in the opportunity of a lifetime. You can also say both. And somehow my training has been to keep the mind sharp by embracing the trouble in your life and learning from it every day. And so, I don't have a textbook, green does this and red does that. I say, let's bring a green light here and see what happens. And maybe today's green experience is different than yesterday's. And maybe it'll be different tomorrow. And to try and sense what's appropriate to the situation, to the person, is one of the things that I'm most involved with and most passionate about. Most of my color work has been treating individuals using small color torch equipment, or sometimes treating groups using a whole room field. I don't treat particularly medical, though I don't mind it. My work is with the person inside the body. How do I reach the person inside the body? And I've had many, many situations and many, many stories of communicating with a level of intelligence inside the body has dramatic effects on the physical events inside the body. And um, my work is to help people come to know themselves, really, to come to know a little deeper level, who am I? What kind of light is true to me? What happens if I share that light? Um, what kind of life unfolds when I have the capacity to offer the light that's natural to my consciousness? What kind of life unfolds when I honor my consciousness and let the light of my consciousness come out? And also, having been an old-time meditator for a while, the other side of that is, how can I create a situation where the light in other people comes out? How can I set this up so that lights turn on in clients and family members, and so that something fundamental remembers, awakens, turns on, shares, gets experienced. When I first started working with color and light, it was tremendously exciting, and it really knocked my socks off. And then I started to read everything and study, like most of you. Any book you had, I'd read it and try this and try that. And I went to India, far away from all the equipment, and had to improvise and learn all kinds of innovative diagnostic skills. And I came to the conclusion after about 6 months that light will do pretty much what you ask it to. If you say to the light, I want you to go into the person's eyes and affect their hormonal balance and affect their brain, it'll do that. You can shine the same light, same distance, and say, this light is going into the skin, and through the skin, it's going into your meridians. And through all the meridians, there's increased body flow and increased energy, and all kinds of beautiful things are happening through light directed towards acupuncture points and meridians. You can have the light in the same place and say, I'm working on your chakras now. Would that be okay? And you can have that same light on the same place and say, actually, I'm working on clearing up some of the cloudy stuff that's in the auric field around you. Would it be okay if we clear up some of the old memories and some of the stuff around you and give you a clearer field? And. It goes on and on. So I'm a bit of a research type, and I've tried all of them. For people that shine light through the eyes and say that's the only way light really works, I say, stand here for a minute and let me shine a light into your back. Tell me what happens. Things happen. And for people who say light has to be through the skin, I say, leave your shirt on and let me give you a treatment from 6 inches or a foot away off the body. What happens? Things happen. For people who say it only works through the meridians, I say, here's a point that has nothing to do with the meridian. I had some very sensitive clients from New York City, and super. And so I wouldn't even point the light at them. I would point the light up at the ceiling and say, I'm pointing the light up to the ceiling and letting the light come back, rain back down from the ceiling. How is that? And she said, it's delicious. I love it. It's really available for your request. And I offer you that to open your mind to a whole lot of possibilities. When we think of a human being, especially for therapists, we tend to think energetically, physically, and a little bit psychologically. All of those are very real and wonderful places to work and plenty to do. When you think of people as being conscious, it's not like that. Consciousness comes in fields. I grew up on a farm. I should know this kind of stuff. Consciousness comes in fields. So try this for a minute. If you can, if you're willing to play, bring your hands up. Say your name. And just sense how big is my heart field right now? Just have no opinion, no right, no wrong, no good, no bad, no should, no shouldn't. Just how big is it right now? Very fine. Now that's the size of your consciousness field. Now, try this for a minute. Just remember sometime in the past week where things were a little bit difficult or a little bit stressful. What size field did you go to then? Just see that time of stress. Bingo. Now, and just imagine with me now that our little group has miraculously transported itself to Chartres Cathedral in France, where these fantastic stained glass windows all over and an architecture that makes stone look like it's floating in air. And we walk inside this super well-crafted design space with the light coming through these stained glass windows. What size will your field go to? Do you see that? So there's no wrong and there's no right. But I think you can see that when I get in trouble and I go here, first of all, I go to a limited field of resources. A limited field of resources. And in my world, the smaller I get, the more psychologically I regress. So someone can be, like most of us, appearing like an adult and well-educated, and somebody cuts in front of you in the traffic, and you're 8 years old, and you're shouting at the school bully, or somebody does something and you get scared, and you're 2 years old and missing your mommy. Every time you shrink, you limit your field of possibilities to things that you know from the past and identity systems that you know from the past. Now, this sounds like, okay, that's pretty clear. But let's just just say you're an average human being right now on the planet being bombarded with fear messages and bad news and possibilities of all kinds of physical stress and cultural shock. What size do most people go to? Mm-hmm. When you get to this size, you know what happens? You turn into a Republican. No. It's a joke. Forgive me, guys. I couldn't resist. If each of us here in this room carries a precious light, which you do, and each of us here in this room is here not by accident, but is here out of some kind of intention, soul intention. What size would you go to recover your light and all the resources that turn onto your light? That's right. It doesn't have to be full stretch. I encourage you to feel it each time. This is enough for this situation here. Just kind of let it show itself to you each time. But you got the point that the best and the biggest field of resources turns on when you're willing to expand, when you're willing to inhibit the contraction and expand to it. So let's say you're watching I would wish something better for all of you, but let me just be simple. You're watching the evening news and you say, oh no, oh no, oh no. You're in about here. And that's how it's designed to make you work. And let's say it like this. Now imagine you're watching the evening news, and each time there's an oh no, you kind of take a couple good breaths and go just a few centimeters wider, a few inches wider, and say, there is something wrong here, but there's also something right trying to happen. What's the right that's trying to happen? And you start to give yourself and everybody a little break and a little benefit of the doubt. There's always something right trying to happen, even when you don't understand it. And that doesn't mean it's not also wrong. But you need to see that you can start to call out the light in situations and in people. You can do that. When I went to India in the previous century, a long time ago, and was with my meditation master, he said to me as a therapist, don't try and fix everybody's problem. He said, don't fight darkness, light a candle. What's the candle in this person that wants to be lit? What are they really asking for? They say, yeah, okay. Then you kind of go to what I call big ears or big heart. What are they asking for? And why did they come to me? What can come to me that's specific to this person? What are they calling? And why did life bring us together? And you go to a bigger field and you start to get into these bigger fields. It's very beautiful. Many of you are hardworking professionals and know your stuff inside out, dead cold. I've given a minimum of 18,000 individual sessions and well over 1,000 workshops and this and that and trainings. And I'm Zooming 2 or 3 times a week now. And is it possible to learn each night? Is it possible to learn something new? And for me, the answer is absolutely yes. And that's the fun of it. Not that I repeat what I already know, but I make connection with you all. And from that connection with you, what are we really asking for? What's the potential? What's the truth? What's being called? How do I honor that? How do I work with that? How do I meet you there? So, consciousness comes in fields. And the main defense we have as human beings is you learn it the first 2 or 3 years of your life, mostly at birth, is when you get in trouble, physically contract and shut down, and psychologically eject. I'm out of here. I'm going back where I came from, where it's safer. Down here hurts, up there it doesn't. So that's the standard operating procedure, and it works so good. It gets you through the family, it gets you through school. It works good, but it leaves you quite split. And always in this something's missing feeling. Always in this, there's a big hole that I'm running around, dancing around, trying to avoid. I'm spending half my life avoiding more than being and meeting. People think this is their defense. They think this is their power. Imagine, just remember sometime in the last 2 or 3 months when something wasn't going your way and you had to be a bit assertive. How did you do that? Most of us learn, if I can regress and act like an unhappy kid, that means other people have to give me what I want. How good a motivation technique is that? Awful. You can get away with it once or twice while you're young and in love. But after 10 or 15 years, your partner is not the slightest bit interested. After 20 years, your kids don't even want to talk to you. It's a mess. And after 40 years, you look yourself in the mirror and say, do I want to get to know myself either? That's a good question. We turn to this hurt kid. We turn to this hurt kid and the anger and the da-da-da, which makes the news and makes the headlines. We turn to that like that's really the truth. That's our power spot, and it's anything but. So people think that getting small, contracted, regressed is power, is protection. Is there a plan B? For me, as a therapist and someone who's quite dedicated to helping people bring out the best in themselves, plan B is make connection. Make connection. The first kind of connection is have you got legs? Have you got feet? How much earth have you got under you right now? True story. Some years ago, I'm working in Amsterdam, and a man comes to see me, and he's one of the vice presidents of the Dutch Central Bank. And he says, my problem is that I'm a really good accountant, and I'm really good with numbers and figuring out how things work. But when I have to hold a meeting, I get really shy. I don't think anybody likes me. I don't know what to do. It's scary and it's awful for me. I said to him, I really understand. Imagine yourself in a meeting right now. And he said, yeah, I can do that. I said, how much do you have your legs under you? And how much earth do you feel under your feet? He looked at me, are you crazy? I said, yeah, I am crazy, but it's important. How much earth do you have under you? And slowly, I said, tell me when you can count 10 toes. Tell me when your whole foot's on the floor. Tell me when you get your lower legs back. Tell me when you've got your upper legs. Tell me what it's like to stand on these legs. How old are you now? And as soon as he got his legs back, his voice changed. He got his confidence. Just connecting to the earth. It's a wonder. Another connection I make is eye contact with people. When people talk to me, I really look them in the eye. Keep the eye contact. And the question always in my mind, who am I meeting here? Here's what they say. Who do I see? Who do I meet? I've done a lot of therapy training with people, and I teach always listen to what your client says and always trust yourself. So if someone is saying, I'm fine, and you look in their eyes and you see fear, grief, sadness, who do you believe? I work with the person I meet. So let's just use a color example here for a minute. And I'll come back to the main subject here in a second. Let's say someone is saying, I'm having a hard time with this, and can you help me with this? And you look in their eyes and you see a lot of fear. And you could go to your textbook and say fear generally responds to yellow. You could. And I'm going to treat the yellow zones, the fear zones here on the upper chest, and maybe do a little bit of red on the sacrum and red up and down the spine. And so you can do that kind of stuff. You can also look them in the eye and say, I've got a green light here. And green gives you a sense of peace, a sense of heartfulness, a sense of it's okay, a sense of acceptance. I'm going to hold the green light in my hand, and I want you to take my hand and put it at the right distance for you. I want you to take my hand and put that green light just at the right spot, not too far, not too close. And when people have a sense of being able to feel and get control of their treatment, it goes really quick and really deep. How is it now when the green is in the right place? I can breathe. I don't have to be perfect. I'm starting to get a little confidence. Maybe this can work out. It just unfolds. Things happen. Please, if you remember anything from color training with me, give people some option, some responsiveness that you're responding to. I'm not just going to give you a color. I'm here with you, and I want you to find the right way to receive that color. Like maybe it's through your eyes, maybe it's straight into your chest, maybe it's from your back, maybe it's from right in your face, and maybe it's from 2 yards or 2 meters away, or 3. Give people a choice, and they will do beautiful. So connect to the earth, connect to the eyes. Try this for a minute. Bring your hands here. When you go small, you connect to your past, a past identity. This is who I used to be. This is how I did it before. Projections from the past. And that's what most people know. Try this. Come just 2 or 3 inches or a few centimeters wider than your physical body. And sense, you can have your eyes open or your eyes closed, but just sense this person here in this field of consciousness is my adult self. This is who I am today. And some of that I know, and some of it I don't know. How can you know who you are today? Because you've never been here before. Just come right on that edge of know and don't know. But this is my adult self. And this one has gone through a lot of life experience, a lot of training. Very, very capable and not easily reacting. And I want you to imagine that you offer that adult self to your clients or your kids or your beloved or to life. As you always say, I know what my contracted self can do here. What's this adult self offer? And this is your real place of power. This is your real place of power, the adult self, the one who's here now. And this one, if you really pay attention, the small one, the contracted one says, I don't have the power, somebody else has it. I have to make you want to do something for me. And this adult self says, we're equals. We all have power. We're equals here. We all have power. And I'd like to negotiate with you. I'd like to work it out together. All kinds of amazing things happen from that place. And then as a meditator, you have your adult self here. Now, each of you imagine, just say out loud, what color would you like to get to your heart right now? And if nothing special comes, just say the color gold. Yeah. And I want you to sense I'm shining a gold light to you right now. And as a gold light comes to you right now, what happens to your hands? Mm-hmm. See how wide they want to go, how big they want to go. And if you come out here a little ways, you'll start to realize I'm not alone out here. See if you can let your hands come out, and this is as much I know who I am, but if I go just a little further, I'm clearly not alone. And the field of consciousness is no longer an individual field. I'm part of a team. I'm part of a group of light beings. I've done workshops and a lot with people. Usually most people have 4 or 5 personal light beings. We could call it angels, light beings, or just beings, whatever. And if I say, and how many do those have behind them? A few hundred. And then how many are behind them? A few thousand. And you see that each one of us is the focal point of quite a huge field of light consciousness. And as you get to play with that light consciousness, all you have to do is ask. And it's so happy to download. It's so happy to share with you. It's so happy to participate and offer new possibilities, new solutions, all kinds of things. In my work, a good day is 30 or 40% Akhail using his experience, and 60 to 70% team downloading. And that brings out the best in me and in most people. And it certainly keeps you on your toes. If you're feeling a little bit tired of your work, a little bored, just ask, team, what have you got for us today? Give that a chance. What I'm hoping to do is help people see that this notion, I'm separate, I'm alone, I'm unwanted, I don't have power, I'm uncreative. All of that stuff only makes sense in here. If you come out here, it's a totally different world, totally different resource field, totally different set of possibilities turns on. And as it is, we're in a time now where the solutions to what's happening to our culture or to our bodies and stuff like that is not going to be about going back to the past. We're being called to take a step forward into a new kind of humanity or a new kind of understanding what's our place here. Finally, actually, the word finally does apply. Eindelijk is the Dutch word for that. Eindelijk. For me, taking a step forward means getting the inspiration and information from the big field and then coming back to the adult field and say, I can do it. Your adult field is where the action is. Please, please, please feel free to go out into the big field, the big teamwork. It's very sweet. It's very inspiring. It's truly from heaven. But to bring that back down into the adult self and look at people as equals, to ground it in the experience of your body, ground it in your aches and pains, your hopes and fears. To give it ground is really important. I'm an old-time spiritual type, as you might have guessed by now, and a seminary school and the whole thing. And for years, my idea was I'm looking for my ticket home. I'm looking for my ticket home. And having worked and meditated and worked with this expanded field for a long time and heard the earth calling, I say, I'm not going home. I want home to come here. And I think that's what our work is in this time. How to bring the truth of the light here. Not us go to the truth of the light. So that's a new organization, but I highly encourage you to let it go as big as it wants, be open to surprises, be open to inspiration, be open to renewal, and bring it here. So it meets people eye to eye, heart to heart. I'm with you. I've also found that many people, you know, most of the people who are attracted for light therapy have been very badly wounded. Almost everybody who I can look at and say immediately, this person's a light being. As soon as they start to tell me their story, there's tears in my eyes. Light beings get roughly treated on planet Earth. Childhood nightmares like you wouldn't believe. And so there's a tendency to, I'm out, and to live quite split. But when the light being leaves the physical body gets beat up, doesn't have its natural protection. So the more you separate, the more the earthy element in you, the physical body, gets abused, beat up, hurt, run over, you name it. And as they reintegrate down, the protection of your own field of consciousness settles in your body. Many relationships change. You learn how to speak, you learn how to use your voice, you learn how to relate, you learn how to say, this is me, this isn't. Some very beautiful, powerful things happen, but it needs your light being back here with the physical, not separate. See what time we are. Let me talk one more piece here, and then we'll be open for a little bit of questions and this and that. And thank you for the questions that are coming in already. I'm looking forward. This is a surprise to me, and if it's a surprise to me, it might be a surprise to some of you, it might not. When I first started with light, working with light, light takes me to a place of wholeness, a place of goodness, a place of protection, a place where I'm essentially not in trouble at all. There's an essential knowing of goodness. And that's been a huge resource. One sec. So I remember working in Sweden many years, and people don't communicate with Americans that way the Americans are used to. And I've got 30 people in front of me, and what do I do with these people? And insecurity and this and that. And I would just take my gold light and shine the gold onto my solar plexus until there's enough gold in my belly, and then the green light on my heart until there's enough green in my heart. And I say, it's going to work. And I could go in the room real relaxed. It's going to work because I got my light. But as a light worker, again, just forgive me if this is my own personal neurosis here. I'm always looking for something that lasts and something that's very human. So for me, in the last years, it's changed, not like, okay, here's your fear or here's your insecurity. Let's bring in light and it's gone. Now you've got light and go for it. It's like learning to think in terms of 60% of me now is in light and 30 to 40% isn't. What if I bring those two together? Maybe they both learn something. Maybe they reintegrate into something new. So my day is, here's what's troubling me. Here's the light that comes to me. Every day there's fresh light. Every day, plenty of trouble. What if I let those two come together and say, out of these two is the heart I want to offer for today. It's tender. It's wounded, but it's not broken. It knows what it's like, and it knows what it's not like. As a therapist, I can say, truthfully, each of us is 40 to 50 times more wounded than you know. And if that's true of us, what about clients? 200 or 300 times more wounded than they know. And being able to meet that woundedness is really important. For me, coming to know your woundedness is like a snake learning to trust the feeling in its belly again. I don't crawl there because it hurts too much. I crawl another way because I don't want that hurt. Snakes are very smart. They just feel. That's what human beings can also do. So we're all more wounded than we know. And if you pay attention, you'll see that 90% of your woundedness is inherited. You come from a line of wounded, troubled people. And if you look at the history of the world that your parents grew up in and your grandparents and them and them and them, it was stressful, traumatic to the max. And nobody communicated. Nobody discharged it. It all just got bundled up and passed on. We need to know that. We need to register it. And if you also know the truth of light, each day you just stick out your hand and say, what's the light got for me today? And there's fresh light. And you know, within 30 seconds, there's a part of me that's very wounded and a part of me that's never been wounded, never been hurt. The essential consciousness in me is as clean, clear, good today as ever. What's essential in me has never been hurt. What if your heart can hold those two together? And that's your offering to people. I bring you a light that reminds you you've never been hurt and all things are possible. I bring you a heartfulness that says, I know what it's like to be in your shoes. Okay, let's look at a few chats here. Nathan, thank you, brother. I love the ability to summon the light out of the darkness and diffuse intention into it. You're cooking, guy. You're right on it. I've been taking people in meditations of looking up into the dark night and looking past the stars into the dark night and going out into the dark, 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 dark. And then to see all the stars as light that are growing from a field of dark. It's actually the dark field grows the clearest light. It's very precious. And if you get to be friends with all the stars and all the lights, each one of them has its own story, its own mission, like each one of us. Yes. Thank you, Lisa. Teach our children to let go as we let go, heal the generations beyond us. I'm quite dedicated to helping people come into a bigger state of mind. So when I work with a fear in the morning, I say, mother, father, grandfather, and I turn and face all of them and say, I'm going to take some steps here today that'll benefit all of you. And it does. It goes way, way, way back. And the people back there lighten up. And then I turn and face forward to the kids and say, and this is my gift to you. This is my gift to you. a fresher, cleaner consciousness field to grow up in. You know, back when I was a kid in the previous century, parents gave the kids all kinds of physical resources and all kinds of money and comfort and stuff. But hardly anybody thought to give people a clean consciousness field. They gave you all the crap from World War II and all the crap from the Depression and all the stuff from having voted Democrat for 6 generations. And it's a killer. The best thing you can do is give people a rich, full field of consciousness. So whatever you do, say this is for the people behind me, and it's also my gift for the people to come. Bring the home here is the answer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Two wonderful questions from Fong Chang. Thank you. Brilliant, beautiful questions. It says, would you repeat the question when you watch the news about what else is possible? There are some people that see everything as pure light and pure color. I'm not one. I'm a mixed guy. So when somebody says, like as a therapist, I get 20 times a week, I feel angry or I feel sad. I might say, what percent of that is sad and what percent of that is something else? I'll try to get the wholeness of it, the totalness, the roundness, the inclusiveness of it. So sadness is never just sadness. It's 40% sad and 20% angry and 30% hurt and like that. It's all composite stuff. And if you work with certain kind of light equipment that's monochrome, then you don't have that. Most of our light equipment is made up of mixed colors. And most of the people we work with are mixed. And for me, it's important to honor the wholeness of it. And especially to see whoever is left out is the one who will keep the problem going. Mm-hmm. So someone can come and say, my husband dropped me some years ago and I've been sad ever since. If you really feel sadness, it doesn't last more than a few weeks. But if it's sadness with a heavy anger underneath it, and then a third dimension of poor me under it, and you don't deal with the anger and the poor me, they keep it running, and the sadness just goes on and on. Look for who's left out. Include who's left out in the composite. What is in the big field? What is in the big field that we are inviting to contribute? This is one of the most wonderful discoveries. The big field is a huge field of dark, empty space. And, people get dramatic and call the void and all this kind of stuff. If you come to know it, it's your best friend. The big field responds to what you offer it. So there's nobody in the big field with a notepad taking orders and saying, okay, double cheeseburger, some fries, and a shake. It's not like that. But if you say, here I am, big field, here's my prayer, here's my longing, Big field says, I've been waiting for you to let me know. How am I supposed to know? Big field doesn't feel pain, doesn't feel fear, doesn't feel limitation. It needs us to open and communicate. And also the big field, take a deep breath. It's everybody's mother. You think of a mother that doesn't want her child to grow, doesn't want her child to succeed. Every mother wants it. The big field really wants you to make it. Big time. And each of us is an evolutionary attempt from the big field. And the big field is very, very happy to support your evolutionary unfolding. So who is in the big field really depends on what you offer it. And what you offer it is what comes back. How does the big field not know? You know, I can only speak from my own experience. I'm not a theologian at this point. Human beings have an unusual mix of star consciousness, big field consciousness, living in separate, finite, pain registering, living, dying bodies. If you trace out where your consciousness comes from, you'll find there are these eternal fields of light. No separation, no birth, no death, no time, no fear, no loneliness. Humans are that consciousness that came down and put on earth forms and got completely lost. Now, the big field, that's not its natural experience unless we communicate it, unless we tell it, unless we share it. You play with it for yourself and see. Let me see what else. Wonderful to see so many people here. Courage is the ability to have that faith, persistent strength in the face of fear, pain, stress. Have the faith today, shine that light. Yeah. Thank you very much, Lisa, for being with us. And I would just also say courage, one second. Courage is also the ability to say, I'm scared and my light is here. Both. Both. I highly encourage you to see that in the past, the end times of the world is the victory of light over dark. This is the final battle of the good forces against the bad, the light against the dark. Maybe this time it's going to be light and dark coming back together again and not being divided. And there is no winner and there is no loser. It's a dance. It's a dance of huge respect, huge love. Okay, guys, I think we're done. I thank you much. Good to be with you. And Gabriella put up my, you can find me
Thank
at
you
Nishant
so much.
Matthews. Yeah.
Thank you
I thank
so
you
much.
all. It's been a beautiful heart journey and with some light friends. It'd be a lot of fun. Thank you. Back to Gabriella. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nishant Akhail, for this wonderful session, highly inspiring and so soothing and lovely for the heart. Yes, friends, so thanks a lot for being with us, and please join again. In 2 weeks, we are going to have our next Zoominar with Masako Shimizu from Tokyo, Japan. It's going to be at 1 p.m. Central European time, and she's going to present Light's approach to gut, and it's going to be Japanese with English translation. So please visit again, and thanks a lot. Have a beautiful evening or noon or morning. Thanks a lot. And please feel free to, I wrote the website of Nishant Akhail in the chat, nishantmatthews.com, for further questions or feedbacks, to write directly to him or also to me, and I would forward. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Akhail. Bye.